So I actually watched this movie because a Instagram reel of all things. I'm not someone that really uses Instagram, but for whatever reason one day I was using Instagram and there was a funny ass clip of William Defoe's character and it made me watch the movie about a month later. And I watched it with my friend and we both really enjoyed it, but this movie definitely has a lot of flaws. Uh I don't really care for the two main characters. They're not unlikable, but they just don't have that much of a personality, and you just don't really get to know them all too well. I don't really care for Norman Reedus or his brother. And it doesn't hinder the movie at all, but I would definitely prefer if William Defoe's character was the main character because he's just a lot of fun in this role. Minor criticism, but they introduce William Defoe's character in a scene where he's listening to opera music and he's solving a crime. So you think that's going to be like a reoccurring thing. Like, this dude's strange, but the way he does stuff works. We see him solve at least three or four more crimes later, and he never uses music again, which I thought was very strange. Like, why introduce that in his original scene and then just never use it again? I will warn you, if you're someone like me who doesn't really like slurs in movies, even if the movie deems it necessary, there is a decent amount of slurs in this movie. Like, they use the N word, they use the R word, and they use the F slur. But the F slur is honestly the reason why I watched this movie, because the clip I saw was the way they reveal William Defoe's character as gay is one of the funniest things I've ever seen in a movie. And even though I wasn't a huge fan of this movie, watching this movie just for that one clip was worth it. William Defoe's character is seen shirtless in bed, probably naked. He's clearly just had sex with this guy, and the guy is attempting to cuddle with him, but William Defoe is not having it. And then he gets a phone call. He answers the phone call. He says he'll be right down because he's a cop and he needs to solve the case. He ends up asking the guy, "What are you doing?" And the guy says, "I just wanted to cuddle." And William Defoe's character is just baffled. He's like, "Cuddle? What a fag." And it's just the funniest thing I've ever seen. I can say that word because I'm gay, but I don't really like using that word very often. That's the only time I'm going to use it in this video. It's such a good joke, and it was worth watching the movie for it. William Defoe's character, by far, is the best character in the movie. He really steals the show. There's some more, like, there's this guy, Rocco, who's their third friend, who at first you are, like, kind of skeptical on whether this guy's gonna be a good character or not, because he ends up telling a racist joke, and then he's kind of forced to say the N-word in that scene, because clearly the mafia guy would kill him if he kept saying African American instead of the N-word, because it was very obvious that the guy he was talking to was racist and didn't like him being respectful to black people. So you kind of understand why he's saying the N-word in that scene. At the same time, it was a racist joke to begin with, so not exactly a huge fan of Rocco. Well, they decide to make him even more unlikable by having him have a scene at the strip club where he's helping the brothers take down some perverts, and he decides for whatever reason to touch the stripper's tits while she's unconscious on the ground. He just straight up sexually assaults a woman. And he actually tries to, like, make up for it, which you can't make up for sexual assault. Like, this is literally how he says it in the movie, too. That he wants to make up for the tit thing. And that he feels real stupid for doing that. Later in the movie, he is killed. And, you're supposed to feel bad, but no, I don't. I don't feel bad for Rocco. He should have died sooner after doing that. He survived way too long after doing that bullshit. Like, these people are talking about all these awful, awful people they need to kill. And for whatever reason, they include drug dealers. It's like, oh, we need to kill mafia guys, we need to kill murderers, we need to kill rapists, we need to kill drug dealers. Yet their friend sexually assaults an unconscious woman, and they do get mad at him, kinda. They're like, what are you doing? But they let him live, and he continues to work with him after he does something like that. That's just insane to me. Like, he deserves to die now, just like the other people you're killing. There was another funny joke in the movie that concerned Rocco. He's not the funny part of the scene. He is coming to do a mafia hit after, being told to do so by his boss. And he has a 6-shooter, but there's 9 guys. So they make fun of him for it, and they said, this is a 6-shooter. There's 9 guys. What are you going to do? Laugh the last 3 to death, funny man? And it's just hilarious. There's this one mafia boss that gets hired by one of the racist guys. And, well, not mafia boss. I guess he's like an underdog or something that's been in jail for 30 years. And he's like this crazy, crazy guy. And the reason he's in jail is because he was like this really violent guy that killed a lot of people. But he doesn't kill women or kids. Which leads to, a little subtle way to not kill off William Dafoe's character. Because I'll explain that later. But anyway, this guy is played by the same dude from the fucking Garfield movie, Tales of Two Kitties. He was one of my favorite characters as a kid. He just plays this asshole that really, really doesn't like the cat. And for some reason, he plays this badass in this movie. He sees his 2 sons doing a prayer, and he realizes, oh shit, those are my kids, and decides not to kill them. Because obviously he's been in jail for 30 years, so when he was hired to kill them, he didn't know those were his kids. Because he didn't, recognize them or whatever. I guess they just didn't tell him the name, though. I feel like if you're hired to kill somebody, they would tell you the names. Like, this is their first and last name, and you'd be like, hey, that's my kid's name. But the reason he doesn't kill them is because he sees them praying over Rocco's dead body. And he's like, oh yeah, that's the family prayer I taught him. Which was also subtly hinted at earlier because, Rocco asked to learn the prayer because it sounds cool. And they're like, hey, we're not going to tell you it's a family prayer. It's just for us. The movie ends with them deciding to execute the one racist guy who's had a handful of scenes. This movie doesn't really have a main villain. Apparently there was a sequel 10 years later, so I might watch it, but I wasn't a huge fan of this movie. I felt some of the writing decisions were weird, the pacing was weird, and the fact that they always were, for some reason, they would kill characters. You would already know the characters are dead. You're seeing a crime scene, and then they would show those characters dying after. Like, we already know they're dead. I feel like this is just really weird writing. You should show them dying first and then the crime scene. I was just not a huge fan of that. It just bothered me a lot. And the way they keep William Dafoe's character alive is he decides to help the brothers and goes undercover as dressing as a woman, and he starts to kill some of the mafia guys. And of course, that leads to their dad knocking him out instead of killing him because he thinks she's a woman. Overall, it was a decently funny movie, but I felt like there was more to it that I didn't like than I did like. But, the first 10 minutes also, I feel like, are really unnecessary. Like, not that much happens in it, and I could just, next time I watch this film, I'll skip the first 10 minutes. But overall, it was a decent movie.